When you have a gland not working or that is hypo, meaning underactive, you really want to get into the glandulars. This is the benefit of those glandulars. To get a gland healthy and you have a real chronic gland, that's when the glandulars, sorry about that, that's when the glandulars come in and can help you. I mean, I'm just saying, we only have so many tools, and we can't actually use the hormones and steroids as tools. Not good. The glandulars are just to empower the cells to wake up from its genetic slumber. And then as you begin to move that lymph, you start to empower that tissue and get those tissues healthy by cleaning the lymph, getting good nutrition, and you're good. Use these glandulars as a temporary bump to the respective endocrine glands, because in chronic levels, they do good. We've witnessed this. All our staff has witnessed this. And then work to maintain the health or get the health of these tissues by what's bringing them down. So when you look at cells, they're either brought down by their genetic memories that are developing through what? Through their day-to-day living. Our memories, think about cells' memories are no different than yours. You get your memories through your day-to-day experiences. So do cells. So when you have high magnetic energy, that means you have high consciousness going into that cell. You have higher intelligence. And it's hard for people to understand that food is intelligent. I was at Rush Limbaugh one time, had a little segment on his show, and I was building a house at the time, and one of the workers had him on. And he said, does chickens have consciousness? And the end result of this rambling on was that chickens doesn't have any consciousness. They're here for us to eat. And I thought that was an appropriate statement by Rush Limbaugh, you know. But that's the sort of thing people think. And we're into consciousness. We're into what is behind those eyes of that chicken. What's behind those eyes of your little cute dog or kitty cat? You know, God. And that's the thing. So, you know, man has a lot of growth to do spiritually. These glandulars are just proteins and cells, if you will. But there are a few hot glandulars. We generally let you know about those. If you take too much thyroid, your thyroid controls heart rate, so if you take too much, your heart rate will speed up too fast. But then you just slow down. Too much adrenals can make you a little jittery, but we rarely see people take too many. I always start at the low end, one capsule or one tablet twice a day or 3 times a day, depending. But in chronic cases, you can go 2-3 times a day or 3 times a day. When it's a thyroid, I go a little slower, like 1 twice a day or 2 twice a day. They're the fastest way in chronic conditions to help you. Outside of that, then you use the herbal tinctures. But, you know, it's what everybody's like is. The glandulars, we've seen so much great help that the glandulars afford us. And but it's to each their own. So I would, you know, I've had people on 4 and 5 glandulars. Some companies make one glandular with 4 or 5 different areas of the body. So you have all types of glandulars out there. I generally use individual glandulars, particularly for the adrenals. I might do one for the pituitary. If you have insomnia, I'm going to give you a little one for the pineal for a month or 2 until I can get the health and more melatonin, everything going good. Then I'm going to take you off of them, of course. The goal is to be healthy and let your food be your medicine. I'm always going to start on glandulars on the low side. I'm kind of bad that way, but I really like to start low and work myself up high. Just to see the tolerability and kind of get things working down the line there and avoid these kind of things there. This is why these glandulars have to go through practitioners, guys. Most of these companies will not allow us to advertise or to work with or for the layperson to just get them, because they really need to be worked through practitioners, because they are strong. They work well. Especially the better ones, the pure ones, absolutely they work well. And that's what they're designed for. Short-term use to pop up cells thinking, like a stem cell thinking, and just pull that baby up. So great for those sort of things. James Salone, Herbal formulator, has said something like seemingly contradicts your position regarding using glandulars. Could you please clarify? You have explained that taking hormones and steroids inhibits one's own production of the same. Sloan says taking glandulars is also bad. I haven't heard that, and I haven't seen that, to tell you the truth. But that's not what we see. I don't know. Sloan, I also recommend avoiding adrenal glandulars, as these can atrophy the adrenals with long-term use. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, chiropractors have used glandulars, long-term use. There's no questions. We try to go in and out with these. Probably shouldn't be on them over 2 or 3 years, but I've still never seen any problems. You wouldn't, because it doesn't work the same pathway. It doesn't atrophy anything, the cells. If anything, you could argue the fact of protein, but like cells are like cells. I don't know what he's talking about, can atrophy the adrenal glands. I never seen anything like that. It doesn't shut them down altogether. Never seen that. Now, again, in some of these formulas that chiropractors are using, like standard process and stuff, I don't know. Maybe 20-year use of glandulars? I don't know. Our philosophy is more let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. But if we have to use glandulars for a short term to pick up the adrenals, or something we do, because it does work heavily. But I've used adrenal glandulars. I've used glandulars for ever since I've been in business. And that's 43 years now. And I can tell you, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen atrophy and decay of glands at all. I don't see that kind of thing. But then I'm working with a whole program. I don't believe in just treating symptoms. I think that's insane. I believe in the whole program. And when you use these in context with the whole program, it's like someone saying when you use herbs, you don't get a lot of, when you use everything, when you're focusing on a whole program, that's when all of it works together synergistically. I've just never seen that kind of problem. If I did, I wouldn't use one glandular for 1 minute. But I've just never seen that. And I don't use glandulars long term, to be honest with you. That's why I came out with that gland tonic. Because I like to use, and I've said this many times before, I like to use the glandulars to enhance and then come off. Because once we enhance your thyroid, you don't want to keep using glandulars because it'll make the thyroid overactive. The adrenals, we're living in extreme times for adrenal glands. Of all the glands that are chronic, the adrenals come in number 1. Second to that is probably going to be pituitaries. And then third to that is probably going to be thyroid and parathyroids, to be honest, and what we've seen. So we like short-term use of things. Long-term use of glandulars, I don't see how, unless too much protein or something, but you only get minute amounts. So I don't know, maybe he's seeing something I've never seen, and I don't know, something is making him think that way, obviously. So I don't know, where he's backing his information from. We see this all the time when people are on steroids or thyroid medication, for example. They can develop a dependence on the steroids or thyroid medication as the medication shut the glands down. Absolutely. Glandulars are no different. They also substitute for the glands, causing them to atrophy. I've never seen that. And like I said, I think this individual has got this information from something that he's witnessed or something, but I just tend to disagree with that. But again, I don't think any of that, anything you're using like that is a short-term kick, to get up. But I've had plenty of people on them for 10 years that choose to do that, and they're not addicted to them. I just don't see that. But then, he got it from some kind of thinking somewhere, but it could be coming from ridiculous thinking and has nothing to do whatsoever with the glandular. I don't know where people's awarenesses are on this planet. There's some not very high, and there's some that are very expanded, and so we have all that. It's a marketplace with states of consciousness too, that's for sure. So I don't know, what he might not be seeing or seeing, So I don't know. But I disagree with that, to be honest with you. However, with that said, I still don't recommend glandulars long term, and I don't think anyone can stay on them long term. And no offense to any labs out there, but there are some labs that are now making inferior products. Initially, years ago, they were the best. They grew their own foods. Everything was organic. Now they feel like everybody else. So now everything's commercial, and you never know what you're getting, and who knows what. Some chiropractors could have them on for years and years and years. No offense to them, because that's where glandulars came very popular amongst chiropractics. I used them too, though, to be honest with you, because they definitely did help and do help. We see the difference between using a glandular on the adrenal glands and using herbs. Herbs are always going to be your best, but they take a while. When you're suffering and you need immediate help, like some of these advanced cancer cases, praise God for the glandulars. That's all I got to say. And you don't see no atrophy of adrenal glands at all. We see just the opposite. We see better neurotransmitters. We see better steroids. And we take them off without any side effects. I didn't see anything that you're saying there that would lead to that. And there's nothing about that that would atrophy them, as opposed to steroids, hormones, and neurotransmitters. You don't take those. They will, in turn, atrophy the gland. Absolutely. Absolutely. All this crap about glandulars, everybody has an opinion. I've used them along with a lot of my fellow physicians. We've used them for years and years and years, and I've never seen one, not even one negative response. Too strong sometimes, have to back them way down. If you're going to make a statement about glandulars, then get it right. Because they don't squeeze gallbladders and bile, and they don't do that. You know, since we are a species that are always going to, at least for a long time, consume animal products, then these labs, and I will use them, these labs have humane ways. They raise animals for this reason. They're organic, and they use the right way of taking care of these animals. All parts are used. There's organic beef. There's a lot of medical doctors, a lot of naturopaths that have organic cattle farms. And they raise these animals to eat, those people that eat meat. And so nothing's wasted. So the organic glands are used, desiccated and used as a treatment for what actually, it's ironic because we're actually having to deal with chronic levels of glandular weaknesses today. The herbs are a bit slow at restoring the health of these glands when you have very serious problems happening. Just curious, is it possible to extract parts of animal glands from making glandulars without harming their health? Good question. I think when the stem cell comes in really well, I think we'll be able to move into that level of thinking. And I think perhaps that would hold some answers to gland regeneration and stuff like that. But I'm still curious about the consciousness of stem cells and that sort of thing. But they've already showed some very interesting things happening. I find it quite interesting that a modality that's so focused on destroying tissue finds something like stem cell to try to rebuild it. Interesting. I've never seen the AMA as anything but a destroyer of cells. I've never seen anything they do except for surgeries. You know, I mean, the real vital stuff that really save tissue. Like I said, emergency and surgeries, definitely a good focus there. But in terms of health issues, that's our field and always been our field. Now, naturopaths, I don't know where they are. One question. The glandulars coming from organic grass-fed biodynamic farming plus healthy and ethically treated animals. Well, this is what we're told because we don't deal with companies that don't. And those that we are and we find out, they're out of here. And this is the problem, is finding truth. You know, even in the natural health field, there's so much crap and lies and stuff, even in the health field. Used to didn't be that way. You were a health person. Wow. You met a real honest person. Matter of fact, Visa and MasterCard called us the other day and said, we just want to tell you guys are a top-rated company because you don't have a lot of, chargebacks and things like that. Because we try to work from the heart, and most of the people in the health field are loving, spiritual people. And this is how we need to be throughout the world. If we get that way, then people won't be starving and we'll help everybody and everybody's good and get people back into a state of health. While taking multiple glandulars simultaneously, adrenals and parathyroid confuse body and lessen the ability to utilize. Nope, I don't think so. I don't think so. We've not seen that, have we?
No.
No. Matter of fact, it seems like everybody knows where to go. It just seems that way. And I like them together in the sense that the more buddies you have working with you, the easier everything is. And that's what we found with herbal formulas and
I'm actually at this moment taking a pituitary, a pancreas, and a thyroid, and the adrenal. So I'm taking 4 of them. And I have not been, for a month now, I have not been freezing cold with my hands. I have not seen any undigested food in my stools. Let me see, what else can I say about that? The pressure that I've been feeling and the dizziness that I've been feeling up in my head is getting less. It's still there, but it's getting less.
Good.
So, I mean, I'm on 4 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so multiple glandulars have been common. Chiropractors generally give multiple glandulars. You know, so I don't see that as an issue whatsoever.
The only time I am cautious on that is if someone is very, very weak, very, very sensitive. You may approach it with 1 at a time and build things up that way.
Very good point. Very good point. And true right on. I always start on the low side. Sometimes I leave them on, like the adrenals, 1-3 times a day. And they say, I just have no energy. I say, well, go up to 2 or 3. And then they say, oh, yeah, just like the one you were telling me about. So I tend to be the guilty party sometimes because I like to go slower and then faster. But that's because I don't want to have any problems with that.
Right.
Get used to it and then go a little more. This is a good question brought up by some ladies here, and that's menopause, hormones, and steroids. Well, a lot of people call steroids hormones, like estrogen and testosterone and progesterone. And, of course, Lee's work came out because a lot of medical doctors were giving estrogen replacement programs and stuff, high estrogen. And of course, birth control pills were estrogen and actually aborting women. And so that's what's going on here. Well, you know, in taking estrogen for a woman, remember we talked about this before, that when you take hormones and steroids and neurotransmitters from your meats, and not knowing it, you're just eating meat and getting all the neurotransmitters, and you're getting, and then using digestive enzymes and the like, can really affect the endocrine glands in a negative way. And we see this over and over again, even with digestive enzymes. People come in here and can't digest after being on them for a while. You cannot, and this, I don't know why it's that way so much with the endocrine glands, but the endocrine glands just will stop producing what they need to produce if you take it. And it's well known about steroids. It is well established fact. So when medical doctors start loading you up on steroids, it's a well established fact in medical history that they'll start slamming your adrenal glands. You know, I've told you, many veterinarians are much smarter, and they won't give animal steroids unless it's the last effort. And even my veterinarian wouldn't give my old dog, 15-year-old golden retriever, a steroid shot because of the adrenal fatigue or the adrenal shutdown from it. And it just can't go that route. That's the beauty of glandulars. Medical doctors need to discover the world of glandulars. It seems to fit good in their consciousness. So really what they need to do is start using these instead of hormones and steroids, and start thinking, how do I get these tissues or cells healthy? A healthy cell will produce. It's just like anyone else. You show me a sickly human, he's not going to produce well at work. Show me a healthy, vibrant person, he's going to overproduce. So this is the sort of thing with cells. So you want to look at that. Bioidentical hormones and steroids, I don't care what word you give them. I don't care if they're bioidentical to what. Who cares? You can't take them. What's the difference between how glandulars and formulas help restore cellular memory? How do acids relate to this? For example, I have PXE, a gene mutation that results in mineralization of elastic fibers in eyes, skin, and other tissues. They think it's mostly about how the liver and kidney expresses the MRP6 protein. So you really wouldn't have a gene problem, you would have a kidney and liver problem. Let's see, will liver glandulars or a formula help? I'm using parathyroid and kidney formula. The only thing I can say about the glandulars is that when you're consuming chemistry, you're consuming consciousness as well. So it certainly is about consciousness, like stem cells, the same type of thinking. There's a consciousness there and a magnetic energetics there that impacts cells. Because remember, it isn't just chemistry that impacts cells. Your own consciousness energetically impacts cells. So everything impacts cells, maybe mind more so than matter. Remember, mind over matter. Depends how strong you are in your mind. Many people make themselves sick with their mind. I think that's what a lot of you are seeing that is keeping some people from finding their cure is their mind and their emotions. They've been tempered with so much that they don't have any faith anymore. They don't have any control anymore. They're actually a leaf blowing in the wind. And I was telling Kelly last night, quit being a leaf blowing in the wind. The glandulars versus the tinctures, the herbal tinctures. Well, obviously, I'm an herbal guy, so I'm for that. In some of these more chronic cases, though, it just takes such a long time for the herbs to work and to really take this out of genetic slumbers that I like the glandulars in the sense that we seem to get more energetics to the adrenal tissues faster. So I think they're great as a short-term use. I don't consider glandulars long-term use at all. Short-term use to help awake and excite the cells definitely could be a good thing.